Thank you. Hopefully you will give me applaud afterwards as well. So we're going to talk about something really cool. We're going to be hacking multi-factor. And before we do that, I'm just going to go through the boring part. So my name is Niclas Kjellin, and I do a lot of things. I've been working in security for too many years now, primarily working with building secure software. Currently, I'm part of a very small expert group that is looking at the security technical side of the Swedish implementation of the EU digital identity wallet. But I do a lot of other things. I collect passwords. I have about 7.5 billion passwords. So that's basically all your passwords. I've done lots of static analysis on those, or statistical analysis on those, so I know exactly what kind of passwords you're using. And I know they're all crap, so please, after this, go and change them, because you can do better. And for fun, I also design hacker-themed stickers. So you ever seen a sticker-bombed laptop? That's kind of the things that I tend to design just for fun. So that's me, but we're going to talk about multi-factor hacking today. And just so we all know what we're talking about, there are three different factors that we normally speak about when you authenticate users. First one is something that you know. That's your password, which was poor, by the way. The second one is something that you have. Normally today, that's your smartphone or an app installed on it or an SMS sent to that phone number. And that's the one we're going to focus on today. The third one is something that you are, just biometrics, fingerprint, face, or something similar. And we all use that because we unlock our phones with it. When you combine all these things, of course, you get better security. Some claims about multi-factors. This is coming from Microsoft. If you log into the Azure and go into the configuration, I'm going to do multi-factor configuration there. This is what they say there. 99% of all automated cyber attacks are stopped by MFA. So quite many of them. It's a bold claim. But 96% of all phishing attempts are stopped by multi-factor. The problem with those numbers is that, of course, you're not attacking multi-factor in that case. So if you were attacking multi-factor, those numbers would be slightly different. Another thing they say is that 76% of all targeted attacks are stopped by multi-factor. So when you go after one particular person, that's what we're going to be doing today. So we see if that holds as well. Talking about reality, what kind of feelings do you get when you hear multi-factor authentication? You know, if I go and tell you multi-factor authentication, what comes up in your mind? Inconvenient. That's a good one. And you, any suggestions? Yeah. So if I hear you correctly, you're saying it's annoying. Yes. You know, not so many words, but but most of us thinks it's annoying. Or if we may think it's too complicated or too slow. This is what we feel when we go multi-factor. This is what we security people have to battle with. And it's also what the hackers are actually taking advantage of. We do not like multi-factor. We just want it over and done, and that's it. And that's the little window we have to convince people to do the dirty work for us when we're hacking them. Another fact from reality is that 76% or 78% abandon their accounts if they're forced to set up multi-factor. So if you have a service, you have an account, and all of a sudden it says, now it's time to set up multi-factor. If it's not critical for you, you may just leave it. Close to 50% of employees has tried to bypass multi-factor. So if we divide this room by half, you guys have been hacking multi-factor already. You guys haven't. But it's not really hacking, it is trying to get around it. So I spoke to a client of mine for a couple of months ago. They're running a job in their CI/CD pipeline, which takes quite a long time, sometimes days. And there's this token that this job has got from the file server, and that kind of expires sometimes during when the job is running, so the whole thing fails and its work is for nothing. So they were asking me, we need to extend that time. What should we put it at? And they're saying, well, we think we should put it to like forever. And I'm thinking maybe that's a little bit too much. You need to rethink that because it's not good. So the rule of thumb, when you're thinking about how long should a session live, is that the minimum amount of time you can get away with, that's how long it should live. So no one can tell you if 4 hours or 11 days or a month is correct. It's the minimum amount of time you can get away with. 10% of Microsoft and Google accounts have multi-factor. This is taking into consideration all the private accounts as well, so not a lot. If we were looking at the business accounts as well, then about 40% or so. So again, splitting this about 50-50, you guys are using multi-factor, you guys are not. So you guys, this talk is not for you, so you can please leave now. Now, please stay, it's going to be interesting anyway, but start using multi-factor. And this reason why we're talking about this is because of this number. So close to 70% of all breaches involve some sort of non-malicious human element. And what is that? Well, that's some person that didn't intend to do something, click a link, help the hackers, didn't know they were helping the hackers. So an insider which is doing just a mistake. This is why we need to understand how these things happen and what to do about them. And there are many different ways to hack multi-factor. I'm going to demonstrate one of them, but I'm just going to quickly run through a couple of others. First one is SMS or SIM swapping attacks. SIM OTPs, one-time password, is the most common method used today to doing multi-factor. So you just get the code, kind of looks like this. This is from Google. You get 6 digits. You have to paste them in somewhere where they ask for it, and you log in. We all use this. We've all seen this. It's nothing strange, but it's used everywhere. And that's the problem. Because over the past years, attacks towards this has gone up to 400% increase because it's very lucrative. This is where the criminal gangs hang. Cryptocurrency sites are using this, banks are using this, and so on. In 2024, there was this person that got his crypto account hijacked and he lost $150 million. So, here's money when you are looking into hacking multi-factor, which you're all going to be doing after this, though. It's lucrative. Anyway, so if you are building a system now and you're thinking we should have multi-factor, don't use SMS. It is really bad. Use anything else but that. And I'm going to show a little bit here. I'm going to have some help demonstrating how you hack this. What is SIM swapping really? So you have to convince the telephone operator to change his phone number. SMS is going to be sent to. That's really easy. And I have an assistant with me, and hopefully the sound is going to work as well. So in this video, which is just 30 seconds long, Jessica is going to get access to this other guy who's also in the video, his email account. It's 2 minutes to complete. If we watch the whole thing, she has full control of his phone number as well. But she basically does the same thing. So just give you a taste how that works. Can we have higher?
Hi, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me okay? My baby, I'm sorry. my husband's like, we're about to apply for a loan and we just had a baby and he's like, get this done by today. So I'm so sorry. I can't call you back. I'm trying to log into our account for uses information and I can't remember what email address we used to log the account. The baby's crying and can you help me? Awesome.
In just 30 seconds,
at gmail.com,
Jessica gets access to my personal email address.
So when she continues to get access to the phone number as well, and if you are working for support, would you help Jessica? If you say no, you're lying. We all would help her, because that's our job when we work as support. You know, on the description of our job task, it's going to say, always help the customer. And then underneath that, there's going to be in bold capital letters, fat font, circled a couple of times, it's going to say, under no circumstances, ever, are you going to create another problem for your customer. This is why it's so easy to do these kind of attacks, because they are there to help. They solved their problem. They just didn't know why she had this problem, but they solved it. Another attack is called session hijacking attack. It's a little bit more complicated. This is where something gets installed on your machine and steals sessions. It's usually malware known as info stealers. And they can be distributed in many different ways. You can get an email with an attachment, you click on it, or maybe you go to a website and all of a sudden there's a pop-up coming up saying, oh, you have viruses on your machine. Maybe you should act quickly now before it becomes a problem. And depending on how knowledgeable you are and aware of all this, you may actually do this. Or if you're in a bad situation, maybe you do it anyway. And if you do what they tell you to, usually what happens is that something crawls into your machine, gets installed, and finds some goodies. When we talk about authenticated sessions, we normally talk about the browser, Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Safari, and so on. The thing is, we have other apps on our machines that have equal sessions called Teams, Slack, or whatever you have. So if I ask you this, how many times do you actually click on the sign out button in Teams? Do you once a day? Once a week? Once a month? Once a year? Or you ever use that button? Sign out is probably the most unused feature in Teams and Slack and all these kind of applications. We never sign out, which means that there are authenticated sessions that last forever in these applications. We never log in either because we're not signed out. So if you get info stealers and they steal that, they have a ticket forever to that account. So think about the next time you go on a vacation, maybe you just click on sign out. And it's actually a good thing as well, because when your boss calls you saying, you know, oh, you should have seen that. I know you're on vacation, but you should see that message. You say, well, I signed out because of security reasons. It's going to love you for that. Okay, so MFA fatigue attacks is another one. So imagine that it's early morning, you know, you haven't woken yet. And all of a sudden your phone starts buzzing and making noises and blinking and whatever. And it kind of looks like this. You know, it comes all these kind of notifications, one after each other, and you're like, oh, what's going on here? I just want to sleep. You know, so you want to solve this problem. Something is not really right. So maybe you see this kind of screen where you're going to have to select an option. You don't know which one is correct. And maybe you click cancel a couple of times and then there are a few more coming in. And you go like, I can't be bothered. You just select one and you keep on doing that. Statistically, you are going to get the right one after some point. And that's also a problem, and you can go back to sleep. You solve someone else's problem as well, because you may have let someone else into your corporate network, which happened to Uber in 2022. So this is the actual quote from the hacker that hacked Uber. So he was using this tactic for about an hour towards an Uber employee who didn't actually accept it. So he added on another tactic called social engineering, contacted this person through WhatsApp saying, you know, and now Uber doesn't use WhatsApp. So he was saying, you know, we're from Uber IT, we have a problem with our multi-factor, just stuck in a loop and keeps sending these requests to everyone. So, you know, could you just click and accept it, because then the problem will go away. And it did. And the hacker got access to the entire infrastructure of Uber, including AWS services. So there's someone that's writing for free forever now. But sometimes it looks like this. Now I'm using Microsoft Authenticator. I have nothing against my Microsoft Authenticator. It's a very good app, has good features, very common. But you get a challenge here. You need to input something, and you can't really guess either. You see some number on a screen somewhere, and you need to put it in there. So when we need to hack this, and this is what we're going to be doing, we need to bring out the big tools, you know, the big guns in order to solve this. And they're commonly known as man in the middle. If we look at the screenshot in the back, this is from the dark web. If you take the dark web and you combine that with cloud, you get everything as a service. So you can buy anything there. This allows you to do MFA attacks as a service. So you could buy a campaign towards Dropbox for about 10 days, $150 or so, or against any of Microsoft services for a month for about $400, and it does everything for you. You just have to type a few text into a few boxes and that's it. But we're going to do it the proper way today. So we're going to take a tool that exists. There are a couple to choose from. So here's a lineup. We have Morena, we have Modlishka, and we have Evil Jinx. We're going to use Evil Jinx today. Here's the GitHub page for Evil Jinx. So it's just, everything is there. Download it, compile it, run it on your machine, and hack your friends. That's the package. But we need a target. So just imagine there's a company called Rock Paper Security, and they're doing some really cool stuff, and you want to have access to that. So you've been browsing around again, GitHub site. You see they have all these public repositories. They're doing good things, giving back to the community and so on. But we need someone to attack. So we look at the contributors and we see this guy, Elliot Alderson. He seems to be working at the company. He's a platform engineer. So DevOps people are a very good target. They have access to everything. We also go to his LinkedIn page just to confirm that he actually works at the company. And we can see that he may have moved up the ladder. He's an IT operations manager here. Maybe still working with DevOps, but this is a prime good target. Good access. But we don't have his email address. We were looking through all the public repositories, couldn't find an email address or anything. So we go to the company's website and look at some job listings. We see one interesting thing. There's a line here which says Angela Moss at rockpapersecurity.com. It kind of confirms what kind of format they're using. Now this happens to be the most common format for emails, but still we need to be sure. So we can assume this is his email address. So now we have somewhere to actually attack. But we need a platform to attack, so we may want to look a little bit further. So we go to another service, do an MX tool. There are many of those. They just does a lookup towards that email service to see, what kind of server are they using and so on. We type in the URL or the domain, and we find all these indicators. They are on Microsoft 365. Fantastic. Now we know that. So to summarize, we have a company to attack. We have a person that we are going to use here. And we have two platforms, GitHub and we have Microsoft 365. So quick hands up, who wants me to attack GitHub? There's a couple of you. I can see where this is going. Hands up for Microsoft 365. Yeah, a couple of more. Some weren't really decided. So, but we need a tactic. So normally what happens is that Elliot goes directly to Microsoft 365, just type in the URL and log in. That's what we all do. What we need to do is put something in the middle and have him go to that site instead and then log in. But that is not going to happen automatically. So we're going to have to send him something. A little present that he cannot refuse. And what is that? Well, going to the drawing board, we're going to write some title. Something that catches your eye a little bit. Write some text what's going on. So it kind of claims that he has ordered his account to be removed. And that's going to happen permanently within 24 hours. A little urgency there. Okay, so hopefully we have his attention now. We're going to give him one more thing. We're going to give him a way out, something that will fix this. So we put this button in as well that says cancel account removal. Click on this, everything will be fine. And maybe we add some logos and stuff to make it nice. So it's about that time we're going to do this for real. And hopefully everything's going to work. And you see what I see. That's great. So here I have an SSH connection to a virtual machine running somewhere in Europe. Doesn't really matter where. I'm gonna start, in this case, Evil Jinx here. So now it's up and running. And the little blue text you see down there, that's listing fishlets. Fishlets are just configurations of how to deal with the data coming in from a login page, from whatever platform you're attacking, and what kind of things you should grab from it. So we were attacking Microsoft 365, and I can see that, oh, there it is. Its internet is a bit slow. So what I need to do is I need to create a lure on the Microsoft 365 fishlets, like so. That's it, and then I just need to enable that, because otherwise it's not going to work. Okay. And we need a little URL to use. And it's slow. And here's our phishing URL. It goes to a place as login.microsoftonline.accountrecovery.io. So we'll just grab that. This is what we're going to give to Elliot. And we're going to send him in a little email. So I prepared an email here where it's just an HTML email, and that's the one we've been drawing up before. So we're going to put our little lure in there. Looks good. And then we'll just copy that. And then we need a proper email client. By proper, I mean something that actually supports the features that we need. This is Thunderbird. It's a very old client. Maybe it's not as nice as most, but it has a lot of good hacking tools, so to speak. So we want to send an email in here. We want to send it to Elliot Alderson at Rock Paper Security. We write final account removal notice. And here's where the magic happens. So we go insert HTML. Close to none other client does this. So this is the magic here. Insert, and we have a really nice looking email. This is actually made from the real emails that Microsoft is sending out. So we send that. It's going from Microsoft at accountrecovery.io. And hopefully it's going to get away as well. So meanwhile that's happening, let's bring up a Windows 11. Everything is a bit off the resolutions here. It's very difficult to see here, but at least you saw there was a message coming in. It should be able to react on, now it's did. Okay. There it is. So this is the one we just sent. Again, it is pretty slow. And there it is. It comes from Microsoft. It says Microsoft being the sender as well. And we have our link here. So Elliot will click on that link. Which is not the quickest thing. Let's see. I'll do it manually. Just imagine you clicked on it. For some reason it didn't actually open. It's still very, very slow. But it's loading, so there's hope. So this is the problem of doing live demos, is that you not control of the environment. And currently the internet connection here is not the best. Something is happening. You can see it says sign into your account up there. It's slowly moving towards. If Elliot was doing this, he would be calling IT right now saying, you know, you have to do something about this internet line because we can't do our work and my account is about to close. Microsoft is doing some stuff here. So just seeing if you're signed in. And here we have a Microsoft login page, very big, because I'm not controlling the resolution here right now. And Elliot will type his email address in there, click next, and while that's loading, what you can't see here is that the background changed, because this company is running a customized background when they do login. Just so you know you're in the right place. Here's all my passwords. I'm gonna have to change them later because now they're recorded. Or I can look them up on YouTube. That's a pretty handy thing as well. So he will sign in. Everything looks okay. So while he's doing that, or maybe it's coming now, at least we can double check. If we go back here, we can actually see that we capture something. We have his email address and his password. So this is our little proxy just running there, hijacking things. That's the man in the middle. Going back to here, he got his multi-factor request. So he has to bring up, and he actually got the little notification here as well, so you can click on that. And he's going to ask for that. So what's that? 26. So he enters 26 and says yes. This needs a face there. And if everything goes through here, which is quite slow, he should be logged in a second. And now it seems to have handed it over. We'll see if that reacts at some point. It is coming. While we're waiting for that. So this is just harvesting whatever it can. So really, he wasn't at the Microsoft login page. He was something that is mimicking its behavior, but he can't really tell. And apparently, the multi-factor isn't updating due to the internet. Let's see. Try again. As I said, this is always the worrying if you are running something live. We're working a little bit against the time, so hopefully it's going to go through soon, or you're just going to have to take my word for it, and which is really crap, but we'll see. We'll give it another shot. We'll click this link. Hopefully it's going to be a little bit more cached this time. But what you're going to do while we're waiting for that is you're going to give me a huge amount of applause because I have his password. Thank you. Gives me a little bit of energy. I'm pretty sure we're going to just have to leave it here. But what's going to happen, I'm going to explain to you what's going to happen, is that if we go back here, so I'll just leave that in the background, and we look, oh, this is extremely slow, so this, I am unsure this is going to go through, or it types a lot here. Let's see when that goes through. I'm the slowest typer in the world, but I can type away from my keyboard, which is really impressive. So here we can see there is this session that has been established. This is what Elliot did when he logged in with his username and password. And once he actually approves the multi-factor, the little thing that says token says none would have had a value in it. And then we can take that value I'm gonna see how it's going here. Okay, so maybe we're getting a little bit closer. So let's try a final time. Now we have 37 here. And we're gonna hope everything goes through. It did something. I think that's enough. If we go back, we actually see the no, it didn't. I think it hasn't gone through. It needs to load. There's another little, yeah, this one. Let's say yes on that. Microsoft doesn't do it, make it easy for you. And we pay them a lot of money. But look, all authorization tokens intercepted. So slowly, we're getting there. Now we have something captured in the token. So what's that? That's session 11. Again, I'm doing my magic typing. So as soon as that goes through, we may have something fun. At least we have a few more minutes. How are we doing on time? You guys don't have any questions anyway, so we can run through that. Okay, so here we have something captured. So I'm going to make it complicated though. I do have another machine running here, running Linux, Kali Linux to be precise, but it doesn't really matter. It's just a different machine. So pretend this is the hacker's machine. So he's going to go to Outlook. There's a lot of loading here all the time. So he's going to go there and see what he can do with it. So meanwhile that's loading, we could go back, and we need this little line here. What this line includes is a lot of cookies. It's a great screen. What do you guys want to do? That I try to complete the actual live element, or I'm just going to summarize and you can see what happened? That kind of takes on the time of the presentation itself, but I'm happy to just wait around because now it's loading. I will skip everything else because this is the interesting part. So now it's just, I'm going directly to Outlook. It shouldn't actually be logged in. Microsoft should realize that. And goes over to, you can hardly read that. It says logging to Microsoft online.com. It's gonna do some loading here. And it's actually putting something up. So we're not logged in. Surprise. And it wants us to log in, but the thing, we don't really want to log in. But here's a lot of cookies that we sent, but we're just going to scrap those. That's all Microsoft just put because we went there. And we go into import, and we just paste that string that we got and do import that. And it sets a couple of different cookies. And now internet isn't the quickest, but let's do reload and see what happens. So imagine this is a completely different machine. It could be anywhere in the world, doesn't really matter. Now it just happened to run on my computer because it's a little bit easier. But the problem is, of course, that internet's a bit slow. It is still loading. It's doing a lot of stuff. Or was it? Now it's loading. Yeah, it's talking lots of things down there at the very least. And now it's doing something. Okay, we're getting It doesn't look good. Let's see. But hang on, it found an account. Elliot. Looks good. We click on it. Okay, so where are we going now? I really hate that envelope now. Oh, we have Outlook. There, it becomes a lot better when it goes smooth, but now we actually have the same. This is the same authenticated session, but running in Linux on another machine. If we wanted to point it to a VPN somewhere else, we could have done that. But I think that would make everything worse right now with internet connection. So the thing is that this is not really how you do it normally. You have a better internet connection. No, but you don't do it manually. This is for show. You know, why sit around and wait for Elliot to do things when you can watch Netflix and have automated tools? It doesn't have to be too complicated. Now I'm not sure how they worked, but they have had a few minutes. So I have another tab here. Where down there is running auto exfiltrate Python script. And it says monitoring capture session. Is looking at, you know, all these capture sessions if there's going to be something coming in. And as soon as there is something, it'll do whatever. In this case, it downloaded file from Microsoft 365. You may not have seen them because everything was slow, but it has created now a folder there, 2025 something, and inside that there are a couple of files. No, I didn't actually go into it. Like so. And these 3 PDF files it did actually download, and you can see what's the time now. It's about 6 minutes ago. This happened the second that Elliot approved the multi-factor. So even if he would have at that point realized I'm being tricked, it is too late. And this is really how it works today, is that no one sits around wait for you to do things. They are sitting there in a script, watching Netflix, eating popcorn, and just check this every so often, and that's everything. If we were to hack GitHub, guess what it would have done? It would have cloned those repositories that were private for that account. Also done the second they would approve the GitHub multi-factor. We don't have that much time left. So now I'm just giving away everything. So anyway, so these are the 2 different ones that he would have seen. Or no, not this, the left one, that's what I gave away. I have 2 minutes left. So this is fake. Anyone see any difference? Now it's a bit fuzzy. Any difference to them? Except for the big fake sign? It is really the URL. But again, who knows what Microsoft using? They use so many long ones. So the real one is loginmicrosoftonline.com, whereas this one has accountrecovery.io at the end. But if you don't know that, how would you know? Because there's no difference. It is the exact same page, just running through proxy. So we're going to skip the GitHub one, of course. And if I have a pound. So let's go to this one. I have just wrap this up now. So what do you do to protect yourself? Well, you can use more resilient methods. Passkeys coming up. That's Microsoft, Apple, Google, a few more project. You have them already in your mobile phones, maybe using somewhere. That's like walking around with a cryptographic device that proves who you are, or more prove that you have that phone. They can be hacked as well, but not through this method. Use MFA appropriately. Normally we put it where you log in, and that's it. Start moving them to where the sensitive operations are, because then you're going to have to hack that person twice, which is a little bit more complicated. And use device-based security. Microsoft calls this conditional access, goes by many names. If you think it from a user perspective, imagine you were annoyed by all the multi-factor. Imagine you can just click trust this device and you will never ever see multi-factor again. That's actually the best thing for security you can do, because the user's happy and security is good. We trust that device now. And then you can tell the user, okay, the next time you see multi-factor on that trusted device, something is wrong. Let us know. Monitor your system. I had this client once they invested so much money in everything. Firewalls, IDPs, IDSs, and so on and so on. A lot of money, generating billions of log entries every second almost. But they missed one thing. No one was washing the logs. So it's completely waste of money because they didn't know what's going on. So you need to understand that you need to look at what's going on in your system. So if you see there are multiple MFA requests or fails, then that coming directly after each other, that could be MFA fatigue attack happening. And we also need to educate our users. Most important thing to do, let them know why they need to do things. Don't just tell them they need to do things, let them know why it's good. And finally, just so you didn't misunderstand me, always use multi-factor when it's available. It is the best thing. It's not flawless. And don't get lazy with your passwords. People tend to do this when you get multi-factor. I have a thank you here. And finally, don't trust those domains. If you click on a button that was sent to you, check what the domains are. And I do have stickers. So once this is over, anyone who wants stickers could come down and get some. But thank you so much for having me, and though it was a bit slow, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you very much. I think we have time for a couple of questions.
Yep, sure. I thought I was out of time.
No, we have 3 minutes.
3 minutes, that's plenty.
Okay, so majority of risk is in social aspect. What are the best methods to educate people without bothering too much?
No one likes awareness training, you know. The thing is, there are probably no good way of doing it. You can hack them, and that's, you know, that's cool. But I don't know if they would appreciate that, but at least they learn something. But the thing is, it's a difference between telling people what to do and telling why they need to do things. So if you want someone to actually help you in security from a user perspective, they need to know why they are having multi-factor and why they need to answer these things. Because it is annoying, but if I'm aware that it protects my data or something, I'm probably more likely to actually accept it. So it's the why we're missing. Why do we have this security?
Good demonstration of a regular phishing attack, but how do you prevent it? What client and server-side solution are there?
Yeah, it's a good question. Passkey is one of those that you could use, but of course, hasn't been used so much. The problem is that there is no good way of preventing this because you have to trust the client in this case. So if you're building the login page can look at the domain and it can realize that this domain is wrong, and then it could do something. The problem this is it becomes a cat and mouse race, because then of course we're updating the tools to rewrite the client side to not look at the domain, and so on and so on. So there are no good ways to protect from this. No 100% sure ways. Sorry? YubiKey. Yes, but then we're going to passkey kind of so then you have to bring in, particularly if you're using YubiKey, then you're not going to be happy among your users. You know, here's a little plastic thing you're going to have to carry around and stick into your machine every time you're going to log in. Goes down not so well usually, but it's actually very good security.
Okay, maybe first one. Do you think that allowing remote SSH access to the root account over a public IP, as you demonstrated, is a good practice from a security perspective?
Yeah, well, no, don't do what I did. This wasn't a demonstration, so you don't learn from me from that perspective. No, it's never good. You should never use root for anything. Really? You know, you should forget that exists. Actually, I think what's her name? canonical Linux system. They're moving away from the sudo aspect even, so they're gonna introduce something else. Ubuntu was the word I was looking for. So this is a problem. We are allowing too much privileges to accounts that we're using daily, and usually those accounts are called admin and is shared by all people. Don't do that. Don't do what I did. So it's never a good idea. It was his question, I can see.
Well, last one. Okay. In addition to session theft, what about Microsoft notifying you if you're logged in from different locations around the world?
Yeah, I think there is a lot of configuration you can do on Microsoft. Now, if I would have done that here, they wouldn't notify me. So it doesn't really matter from most user perspective. So it really, if you go to conditional access rules that you can set up, yes, you can do all these kind of cool stuff, and you should probably do that if you have that need. It does also maybe provide frictions from the user, so it's always a balance. But normally they don't actually, and the reason for that is that they need to consider that IP addresses are changes all the time. If you're on the phone network, which I was now just trying to get these things through, the IP is changing constantly, so you can't really rely on it. But sure, if someone is here in Vilnius and then 2 minutes later they're in Bangkok, may not be completely correct, you know. So yes, you can use it as an indicator, but it's very dangerous to use it as like a hard rule. Thank you.
Thank you very much.